Okay, so should have just received a notification there that you're having this meeting recorded. So welcome everyone once again, our clients, our staff and others interested in this very important topic. Today we're going to go through the economic response to the coronavirus and in particular the support for individuals and households, and also the available financing option measures for businesses. So ideally, I would have liked to have gone through the financing options yesterday, but we had so much to get through that that just wasn't possible. So I'll be referring back to our business document just to finish off on the financing options. So as I said, this webinar is being recorded today, and a link to the recording will be posted to our website under the COVID-19 blog ASAP as soon as this meeting is over. As per yesterday's session, for anyone not present, I do encourage an interactive session. So at regular intervals, I will pause and open up the webinar for any questions that participants might have. Feel free to unmute your microphones at that point and speak to me. You can then mute your microphone afterwards so that we don't have any background noise. In addition, today I have Paul Williams, who is our Roberts & Morrow partner in charge of the Strategic Tax and Estate Planning Division, otherwise known as STEP, and he'll be monitoring any questions that you place in the chat box throughout the webinar, and he'll do his best to try and answer those as we're going through everything. If you are not sure how to bring up that chat box, if you hover your mouse over your screen now, you'll see that menu that pops up, and towards the right hand side you should see a little picture of a document that has some little writing on it, and that's where you can press show conversation and write anything into the chat box. If any questions can't be answered today, because we do have a lot of technical stuff here, we will chase these up for you and get back to you ASAP. Please leave your contact details, an email address for us to do so, particularly if you're not logged in as one of our staff members. So if you're logged in as a guest today, can you please do that? I'll now turn my camera off and share the presentation notes for today, being the ATO Treasury documents on the different parts of the package relative for individuals and households and available business finance options. Okay, so before I do this though, I thought I might just show you the R&M webpage where you can access this document that I'm showing you and other great resources on COVID-19. So please let me know via chat if you can see this web page once I try to share this, which I'll do right now. So just give me 1 second. I had a few issues yesterday with my computer, some connection issues sharing, so I'm pretty sure it's been sorted out now. So just going to do that now. Okay, so just let me know if you can see that screen with our website at the moment. Fantastic. Okay, that's great. Okay, so just hovering my mouse over here. So we're in the main web page here, rm.net.au, and we just click on this here, COVID-19 link. And this will take you to everything that you need to know about the stimulus packages. And you just go down the blog a little bit, and eventually you come to this area here, which gives us a summary of every part of the package. Right down the very bottom of this summary, you'll find the links to what I'm talking about today. Okay, so they're all here. This one's the one for businesses, this one's the one for individuals, and then this one's an overview. Okay, and they're coming from the ATO Treasury documents. Also got some other really great websites you can refer to, which I'm going to look at some of them today. This one in particular, talking about what the Australian banks are offering to their customers at the moment. I will go through some of the stuff on this link shortly. And there's also something here about what the New South Wales government is offering, particularly in the area of payroll tax. Okay, so I can just see there, Karina's actually linked our webpage there, so you can easily access that now. Okay, so what we'll do now is I'll go and share the notes for the individuals and households. So once again, just give me a second. And once again, just let me know when you can actually see these notes pop up. Okay, so just sharing them now. Okay, so just let me know if you can see that okay through your chat box. Okay, fantastic. All right, so this one here, as I said, is for the households and individuals. I'm just going to take it back home. So the first thing you'll find in here when you go to that link is the JobKeeper payment. So I spoke about that yesterday, so I'm not going to go through that again. I've pretty much spoken about everything I can on JobKeeper. So I'm going to start with this one here called the income support for individuals. And basically what we're talking about here is our Services Australia or Centrelink benefits that are being offered, which is going to be very important for a lot of people. So just a brief outline of the package. The government's providing support for individuals to assist them during the next 6 months. A summary, the government is temporarily expanding eligibility to income support payments and establishing a new time-limited coronavirus supplement to be paid at a rate of $550 per fortnight. Okay, so this is only for the duration of this coronavirus outbreak. This supplement will be paid to both existing and new recipients of the eligible payment categories. I'll run through them. And as I said before, these changes will apply for the next 6 months. Okay, so a little bit more here just on eligibility. So we're talking here about the different payment categories. So the first one we've got here is the job seeker payment. Okay, so sometimes it can get a bit confusing with all these names. So job keeper is the one I was talking about yesterday, and that's where we pretty much had existing employees and reimbursing them, or I shouldn't say reimbursing them, subsidising their wages. And job seeker is our traditional unemployment benefits. Okay, so this is for the unemployed between the ages of 22 to pension age being 66. Okay, for those 21 and below and unemployed, they get the payment through youth allowance. Okay, so youth allowance not only covers unemployment benefits for those under 21, also covers study as well for those particular ages. And then we've got these particular payments that are covered as well. So parenting payment, OS study, AB study, farm household allowance, who I know a lot of our clients are on, a lot of our farmers, and special benefit recipients. So there is one thing I'd like to add just in my notes here. You won't see that here. In the latest government economic stimulus response, okay, the one where JobKeeper came out, the partner income test that applies to get job seeker or unemployment benefits and the new coronavirus supplement has increased from $48,000 to about $80,000, or just under, making this payment more accessible than it previously was. And again, this is only a short-term measure while we're going through this coronavirus period. So, you know, if you've got someone, mum who's lost her job, but dad is earning, say, $60,000. Previously, she wouldn't be able to get any unemployment benefits, but now with the increase in this partner threshold, she will be able to get some sort of benefit for unemployment. So that's a good thing. All right, moving on to here we are, the expanded access points down the bottom here. So job seeker payment and youth allowance job seeker criteria. Once, as I said before, this is for the unemployed between 16 and 66 years of age. We'll provide a payment access for permanent employees who have stood down or lose their employment, sole traders, the self-employed casual workers. So in this instance, we spoke about casual workers for JobKeeper yesterday, and it's only those casual workers who have been working with that employer for a 12-month period prior to the 1st of March 2020. So this would fit all the other casual workers that unfortunately don't get that payment. and contract workers who meet the income tests as a result of the economic downturn due to the coronavirus. So this could also include a person required to care for someone who was affected by the coronavirus. Okay, so obviously with the new JobKeeper payment that we spoke about yesterday, sole traders, 99% of the time probably going to be eligible for that, and they wouldn't go to try and get a job seeker payment, okay, because it's far more generous, the JobKeeper payment amount. They've got reduced means testing, so the asset testing for JobKeeper, youth allowance and parenting payment will be waived. Okay, so there's normally an asset test that will be waived, but income testing will still apply. Okay, no changes there, except the fact that I told you the partner income test has increased substantially from 48,000 to about 80,000. And reduced waiting time. So the 1 week ordinary waiting time has also been waived. So therefore, for these, for those who are genuinely unemployed, provided the government gets their IT up and running correctly, the process has been designed to assist those most financially vulnerable to get access to benefits ASAP, which is really important at the moment. Okay, so just going over the page, just not going to talk about everything here. This one here, all income testing, income maintenance periods and compensation preclusion periods will continue to apply as payments under these arrangements are treated as income. Okay, so just emphasising income testing still does apply as per normal. People will not be permitted to access and will need to declare they are not accessing employer entitlements such as annual leave and sick leave or income protection insurance at the same time as receiving the job seeker payment and youth allowance job seeker under these arrangements. Okay, so yeah, you've got to actually use up your entitlements before you can go and get your unemployment benefits. Now, Fair Work, obviously I'm not qualified to go too far into that. Fair Work can provide more information if required, if you want to go further with that. Just down here with the claim process. So as I said, everything's about accelerating, making it all faster, so that people can get access to this money as quick as possible. So to ensure timely access to payments, new applicants are encouraged to claim online. So obviously we've seen the big issues with the IT platform crashing there a couple of weeks ago. So they're working really hard to try and get that going so that we can get these claims, so they can get these claims through. Another thing I want to point out here is the applicants for the job seeker payment and youth allowance job seeker will need to make an initial declaration about their identity, residency status, income, and that they have been made redundant or had their hours reduced, including to 0 as a result of the coronavirus. And in the case of sole traders and the self-employed, applicants will make a declaration their business has been suspended or had turnover reduced significantly. As I've said previously, sole traders are now going to most likely go for the job keeper payment discussed yesterday. But if for some reason they're not eligible, say their business hasn't dropped by 30%, their turnover hasn't dropped by 30%, for example, they can still come and get the job seeker payment or unemployment benefits. Just down the bottom here, just talking about this streamlined application process. So there's lots of exclusions that you'd normally have to go through to get this benefit that you now don't. So no longer required to get employment separation certificates. Basically it's just a form from your previous employer who you've been terminated by that you actually do no longer work for them. You don't need to get that. No need for proof of rental arrangements and verification of relationship status. Job seeker classification instrument assessment for those people who have recently left jobs, recognising they are job ready. You don't have to do that. And job seekers to make an appointment with an employment service provider before they can be paid. They've waived that one also. So making it really easy, again, is if they can get their IT going correctly. Now, the flexible job seeking arrangements. So this is important. Those receiving job seeker payment have an obligation to actively look for work or build their skills, but the government's making sure this can be done flexibly and safely. So this is what they've done. Job seekers who have caring responsibilities or who need to self-isolate are able to seek an exemption from their mutual obligation requirements without the need for medical evidence. So an example of mutual obligation requirements that you'd normally have to go through to get access to unemployment benefits is things like you're actively seeking work, you're doing maybe some sort of training or some sort of voluntary work. So those sorts of things, they've got an exemption on that at the moment. Activities can be rescheduled if the job seeker is unable to attend as a result of the coronavirus. So job plans will be adjusted to a default requirement of 4 job searches a month or 1 a week. Okay, so not as onerous in terms of those job searches that are required normally. Mutual obligations can be tailored for each individual to suit not only their needs, but also the needs of the community. Some circumstances, job seekers can undertake training or volunteer within their community to meet their mutual obligation requirements. Now, this one's interesting. For sole traders that become eligible for the payment, they'll automatically meet their mutual obligation requirements during this period by continuing to develop and sustain their business. Okay, so they don't have to actually go out and get another job. If the unemployment benefits are enough for them. So, for example, they could actually engage in training themselves. They could look at better business strategies for their business when it does get to a point where they can start it up again. Improvements for when the economy gets back to normal, etc. Those sorts of activities. So job seekers are encouraged to stay job ready, connected to their employment service provider, and up to date on potential job opportunities in their local area. And these changes ensure that job seekers can reliably access income support, safely look for work, fill critical vacancies as they emerge, and develop their skills and job preparedness, and contribute to their community and help the economy to bounce back stronger. Okay, so that's all the main sort of, I guess, theory behind it. The timing. The coronavirus supplement, okay, so that's that extra $5.50 a fortnight for the 6-month period. That's going to commence on the 27th of April 20, and expanded access for payments and fast claims processing will commence on the 25th of March 2020. Okay, so as what we did yesterday, we've got some really good examples here that really explain what they're trying to say there. So we've got Leonie. She's in her mid-30s with 2 dependent children, aged 10 and 12, and works as a telephone consultant for a travel agency. The coronavirus has caused the travel agency where she works to close for a 6-month period and resulted in Leonie's hours being reduced to 0. She'll be eligible to apply for job seeker payment, okay, unemployment benefits, and the coronavirus supplement, so that $550 per fortnight under the new streamlined process. She can apply online and make a declaration about her identity, residency, income, and that she has had her hours reduced to 0 as a result of the coronavirus. Now, she's eligible for the job seeker payment and will get $1171.50 per fortnight, which comprises the job seeker payment single, which in this case is $612 per fortnight. And that, by the way, is the maximum amount for a single person with dependent children. An energy supplement of $950 and that coronavirus supplement of $550 per fortnight. She also gets family tax benefit Part A and B of $483 a fortnight. Having recently left employment, Leonie is also job ready. Okay, so she's already met her job ready status because she's recently left that employment. An employment service provider will look to match her skills and available opportunities, for example, in another call center. So her skills can be used in another industry and she can get another job quickly. Okay, so that's an example of an employee. And then we've got a good example here of a sole trader, which may become somewhat redundant now because I think Chris in this example would probably go for job keeper now. So Chris is a sole trader running an architecture practice specializing in home renos. And his practice has been successful over the years, and he's been able to build up a reasonable amount of assets during his career to a level that would ordinarily make him ineligible for the income support payment. But remember, they're not doing the assets test at the moment. The coronavirus has adversely affected his business, and his income has been reduced to 0. He'll be able to apply for the new job seeker coronavirus supplement and will not have his assets included as part of the eligibility assessment. And he'll also not be required to serve a liquid asset test waiting period as that has been waived. So you can see all these waivers that they're doing to get the money out there. He's eligible for the job seeker payment and he is married. So he'll receive the job seeker payment partnered at $510.80, which again This would assume no other income coming into his household. That is the maximum rate for a partner. And he'll get the energy supplement and the coronavirus supplement as well, the $7.90 and the $5.50. So overall, he'll bring in $1,068.70 per fortnight. Before I move on to the next part of the package, does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask me? If so, please unmute your microphone now. All right, fantastic. So we'll go on to the next part of the package. Oh, yes, yep.
Well, sorry, there's a question from the conversation.
Yep.
Do you want to maybe open that up for discussion?
Yeah, just one moment. I'll have a look at that. Okay, so Suzanne, a 21-year-old uni student has had to move out of uni accommodation and rent somewhere to study online. She does not receive any benefits at the moment and works casually in her holidays, but is not able to do that work due to COVID-19. Is she eligible to apply for youth allowance? My email address. Okay, fantastic. So what we've got here, as I've said before, with youth allowance, again, I'm not saying that I'm fully qualified to do the work of Services Australia here, but if she was eligible, I would definitely look into that. Not only will she get youth allowance, but because she's studying, okay, she will also potentially get access to the $550 coronavirus supplement as well. Okay, so best bet there is to contact Centrelink to see whether she'd be eligible or not. So we've got, so with the income test, what period do they look at for income? Current, partner reduced income, or last year's assessment? So that's from Peggy. Once again, the income test is something that you need to supply details for on a regular basis. Okay, so it's talking about the as at the current date. Okay, so that's basically when they'd be looking to see whether she'd be eligible or not and determine what sort of payment would be received. So yeah, thanks for putting up that website too, Karina, because yeah, Services Australia does have some very good information on all of the payments that I've been speaking about. So what happens for a husband and wife partnerships? Yeah, so that's with the partnerships. I guess they've missed out a little bit, particularly when we're talking about JobKeeper yesterday. Okay, so they obviously do get assistance if they've had, if they're employing someone, they'll get subsidised the $1,500. But yeah, they don't sort of fit into this criteria here. That actually have to, I guess, close their business down and have zero income, and then they would have to go on unemployment benefits to actually get something. So what I might do, I might just leave it at that, and we'll just see whether Paul can answer any more of those questions, and if not, we'll come back to them at a later time, and I'll just keep going on with the next part of the session here. So the next thing I want to talk about is the payments to support households. Okay, so you've probably heard of this one with the two separate $750 payments coming through. Now, I know I could tell you actually that this morning I got mine. I get family tax benefit, and with someone who's on family tax benefit, each family gets a payment now or sometime between now and the next few weeks, and also in July. So yeah, that has started today. So just a little summary here. These payments will provide assistance to lower income Australians, including pensioners, other social security and veteran income support recipients, and eligible concession card holders. So a little summary, the government is providing two separate $750 payments to Social Security veteran and other income support recipients and eligible concession card holders. The first payment, announced on 12th of March, will be available to people who are eligible payment recipients and concession card holders at any time. So key dates here from the 12th of March 20 to the 13th of April 20 inclusive. And that second payment will be available to people who are eligible payment recipients and concession card holders on the 10th of July 20. Okay, so two payments, one starting any time from now and another one in July. A person can be eligible to receive both a first and second support payment. However, they can only receive one $750 payment in each round of payments, even if they qualify in each round of the payments in multiple ways. Okay, for example, they might receive from Services Australia multiple payments like job seeker and family tax benefit, like we had with Leonie in that example I gave before. Okay, she won't get 2 lots of 750 now in March. She'll only get the 1 lot of 750, and then potentially she'll get another 750 in July. Good one here. The payment is going to be exempt from taxation. Okay, so you won't pay income tax on it, and it won't count as income for the purposes of Social Security, farm household allowance, and veteran payments. All right, eligibility. So we've got all these payments here that Services Australia currently pays. So to be eligible for the first one, you must be residing in Australia and be receiving one of the following payments, or hold one of the following concession cards at any time from 12 March 20 to 13 April 20. So some examples of some common ones there: age pension, disability support pension. Family tax benefit is obviously going to be one of our biggest ones. A lot of people get family tax benefit. And as I said, I am on that, and I received mine this morning, directly deposited to my bank account. Just going over to the next page here. This is important where someone has lodged a claim for one of the eligible payments or concession cards at any time from 12th of March to 13th of April 20 inclusive, and the claim is subsequently granted, they will also receive payment. Okay, so my notes here, therefore applications for the relevant government payments in existence as at 12th of March will also get payment. Okay, so you could have had a claim going during that time but not approved. They will also get that payment. All right, eligibility for the second payment. So to be eligible for the second payment on the 10th of July 20, you must be residing in Australia and be receiving one of the payments or holding one of the concession cards that were eligible for the first payment. Now there's a big exception here, okay? For those who are receiving an income support payment that is eligible to receive the coronavirus supplement, they won't get this second payment, okay? Because they're already going to be receiving that extra $550 per fortnight. Okay, so they'll get the first payment, but not the second payment. And these categories below here are the ones that are only going to get the first payment. So job seeker payment, youth allowance, parenting payment, OS study, AB study, farm household allowance, and special benefit. They will not be receiving the 750 because they'll be better off because they're receiving the 550 per fortnight for the coronavirus supplement. Here's those timings again, as I spoke about before, March and July, and just some examples to explain it a little bit better. So Kate and Angus are a couple and both get the age pension at 12th of March 20. Kate and Angus will each receive 750, okay, because age pension is something that each individual is entitled to. It's not a household thing. So in total, their household will receive $1,500, and payments to Kate and Angus will be made automatically from 31 March 20. As Kate and Angus remain both a couple and age pension recipients on 10 July 20, they'll also be eligible for a further $750 as part of the second payment. So their household's going to get another $1,500 in total for the second payment. So in total, they'll get $3,000. So you can see with age pension, they're getting the second payment because age pension is not part of these exclusion categories who are getting the coronavirus supplement that we spoke about earlier. And just another example here to finish off. Leanne is a single parent job seeker payment recipient on 10 July 20, receiving a single with dependent child rate of $6.12 per fortnight, $9.50 for the energy supplement, and another $5.50 per fortnight coronavirus supplement. Okay, so she's getting that coronavirus supplement. This brings her fortnightly income to $1,171.50. She was in receipt of job seeker payment on 30th of March, so eligible for the first $750 payment. But as she already receives the $5.50 per fortnight coronavirus supplement on 10 July 20, she'll not receive the second $750 payment. Okay, so once again, if you have any questions, please feel free just to unmute your microphone now and ask me. Okay, great. So we might just, with the ones in the chat box, again, we'll see if Paul and Karina can deal with them as we go along. And if not, we will get back to you on those ones. I'll just keep moving through here. So on the next page, we've just got a little table here, which is really good. So you should refer to this if you're interested on our website that I showed you before. We've got links to this document. And it just shows you which particular payments are going to be eligible for the first and the second payment, and which one's eligible for that coronavirus supplement of the $5.50 per fortnight. Okay, so you can see here, whenever a particular payment is eligible for the supplement, that they're not eligible for the second $750 payment all the way through here. Okay, so we'll go on to the next package I want to discuss, which is the early access to superannuation. Okay, so we've got a little summary here. The government's allowing individuals affected by the coronavirus to access up to $10,000 of their super in 1920 and a further $10,000 in 2021. Okay, so I guess this is a good short-term cash flow measure, which will start as early as April 20. Summary on this one, probably down here is the best place to look. Eligible individuals will be able to apply online through MyGov, okay, to access up to $10,000 of their super before 1 July 20. And they'll also be able to access up to a further $10,000 from 1 July 20 up until 24 September 20. Okay, so we've pretty much got this sort of 6-month window where they're estimating the coronavirus is going to go for, where you can access, as I said, up to $20,000 of your superannuation, even before you have reached the criteria to do so, the normal criteria, I should say, being your retirement age. So eligibility, so we'll go through this. To apply for early release, you must satisfy any one or more of the following requirements. So you've got to be unemployed, or you're eligible to receive a job seeker payment, youth allowance for job seekers, parenting payment, which includes single and partnered payments, special benefit or farm household allowance, or on 1 January 20, you were made redundant, or your working hours were reduced by 20% or more. Okay, so the threshold here for this one is 20%. Or if you're a sole trader, your business was suspended, or there was a reduction in your turnover of 20% or more. So turnover here being sales, okay, not net profit. So we're not looking at expenses, we're just looking at turnover. People accessing their super will not need to pay tax on the amounts, okay? So no income tax will be assessed on any of these amounts, and the money they withdraw will not affect their Centrelink or Veteran Affairs payments, okay? So it won't be used as part of the income tests for those particular payments, which is another good thing. Okay, the practicalities of how to apply. You apply directly to the ATO through MyGov, and you'll need to certify that you meet that above eligibility criteria. After the ATO has processed your application, they'll issue you with a determination, and the ATO will also provide a copy of this determination to your super fund, which will advise them to release your super payment. Your fund will then make the payment to you without you needing to apply to them directly. Separate arrangements will apply if you're a member of a self-managed superannuation fund. So obviously, Robert, tomorrow we have a lot of SMSF clients. So we'll obviously be keeping track of that to see what the practicalities are for the self-managed superannuation funds. Timing. So when can you start doing this? You'll be able to apply for early release from 20th of April 2020. Okay, so let's have a look at a couple of examples here to show what this all means. So we've got Ed the bartender. He works in a popular bar in Melbourne, and as a result of the coronavirus, has had his work hours reduced by 40 hours on average in the second half of 2019 to 20 hours per week on average in May 20. As a result, Ed determines that his hours over the last month have reduced by more than 20% compared to the average of his hours over the last 6 months of 2019. He decides to apply for the early release of 8,000 of his super. Okay, so you don't have to take the whole 10,000, it's just up to 10,000 before the 30th of June in May 20 to help pay his rent and other living expenses. he self-certifies that he's eligible for the early release on MyGov. He could have applied for the 10 grand, as I said before, but chose not to. He cannot seek any further early release of super in 1920 on the grounds that he has been affected by the adverse economic effects of the coronavirus. Okay, so you only get one hit at this in each of those periods, pre-30 June and post-30 June. However, Ed finds after 1 July 20, his hours continue to be reduced by more than 20% compared to the average of his hours in the last 6 months of 19. He decides to make a second application and self-certifies through MyGov that he's eligible for early release. He's able to apply again for a release of up to 10 grand of his super, and he submits an application for the full amount of 10,000 this time. Okay, for each application, the ATO approves Ed's early release and notifies both him and his super fund, and he has received a total of 18,000 of his super in 2 separate payments. He'll not be taxed on this amount, as we said before, and he's free to spend this money on anything he chooses. Okay, so no stipulations on what you spend that money on, or save it for future expenses. He's also free to recontribute any unused amounts to his super in the future within his normal contribution caps. Okay, so that's an example for an employee. And then we've got Rachel, just bring that back up again. We've got Rachel, the sole trader. So she's got a catering business, and at the end of July 20, she seeks to apply for an early release of her super. Okay, so we're talking here in that next period, the second period. She hasn't decided to do it in the first period pre-30 June. So due to the effects of the coronavirus, her turnover for July is $5,000 compared to $10,000 on average per month for the second half of 19. She therefore determines her turnover has reduced by more than 20% compared to her average turnover over the last 6 months of 19. So she self-certifies, she's eligible for early release and applies to have the 10 grand released from her super. All right, so again, they're pretty straightforward, that one. Once again, if you do want to ask me a question, feel free to unmute your microphone and go ahead with that. Okay, so as I said at the start, this is just general advice, general guidance. There's obviously serious implications when you're pulling money out of a retirement vehicle like your superannuation. So please be advised if you are thinking of doing this to contact your accountant just to understand what the implications are. All right, so that brings me to the main components of the package for individuals and households. What I want to do now is show you what the banks are offering and also what Treasury is offering in terms of access to cash flow. So I'm just going to share a website here, the Australian Banking Association. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, once again, just let me know that you can see this when I bring it up. Okay, so can everyone see my web page there? Yep, all good, fantastic. So this is really good. So don't be confused here. This is the Australian Banking Association, which represents all the banks of Australia. And you've probably heard a lot about this. It happened a few weeks ago, where initially they were offering to pretty much automatically defer all small business loans where your total borrowing was up to $3 million. And that deferral would apply to principal and interest repayments on all eligible small business loans for a period of 6 months. Now, since then, they've actually increased that. Sorry, just 1 second. Just mute those microphones there. So since then, in the last week or so, they've actually increased that threshold to up to $10 million. So you can see that just there. And then what they're saying there, that now covers 98% of all businesses affected by COVID-19. So we're talking a really good deal here, okay? So this is your existing loans. You can get a 6-month deferral on those loans. And I know, say, I'm with Commonwealth Bank, and I know that they did an automatic process on the 1st of April, where basically you had to inform them if you didn't want to be a part of the package. So you're automatically going to be thrown into this deferral scheme. So this website, as I said up here, just go to ausbanking.org.au/campaigns/financial hardship. Karina might even get that up and put it into the chat box for me. It's got all your frequently asked questions on this. Okay, so for example, here, who is the business relief package available to? The business relief package is available to business customers of participating banks with total business loan facilities up to $10 million. As I said before, up from the 3 million. Where you advise your bank, your business is affected by COVID-19. So what I strongly encourage you to do is to go onto your banking website or speak to your bank manager and discuss with them exactly what options are available. And it doesn't just stop at business loans. They're offering all sorts of concessions. For example, again, Commonwealth Bank, I know that they're offering 6-month deferrals on home loans. Potentially you can get deferrals on equipment loans, concessions for credit cards. There's a whole range of offerings, particular fees being waived, all sorts of things. So please go and speak to your bank about that. So these measures apply to what we have, in terms of existing finance. Okay, so now we turn to what the government's offering, and the government's offering is more focused on if you need to get access to more finance. Okay, so it's not existing if you need to get access to more finance. So I'm just going to now share my screen in terms of the Treasury document on this. So just give me 1 second. And once again, just let me know through the chat there that you're seeing that okay.
We can see that.
That's great, thank you. So I'm just gonna just 1 sec. All right, just muting that again. So I'm just gonna bring this up here. So here we are here, it's called the Supporting the Flow of Credit. All right, so again, a little summary. The Government, Reserve Bank of Australia and the Australian Prudential Regulation Authority have taken coordinated action to support the flow of credit in the Australian economy. In particular, small and medium enterprises. Timely access to credit is vital to help SMEs get through the impact of the coronavirus. Okay, so this is the biggie that they're offering. It's called the Coronavirus SME Guarantee Scheme. And just down here is an explanation. So it says they'll provide support for small and medium-sized businesses under the scheme. The government will provide a guarantee of 50%, just down here, 50% to SME lenders for new unsecured loans to be used for working capital. Okay, so funds borrowed to be used in businesses. This will enhance these lenders' willingness and ability to provide credit, which will result in SMEs being able to access additional funding to help support them through the upcoming months. Okay, so SMEs with a turnover of up to 50 million. Okay, so that's going to cover most of the people, I think, in this forum, and our clients will be eligible to receive these loans. And the government will provide eligible lenders with a guarantee for loans with the following terms. Okay, so the maximum size is the important figure, is 250,000 per borrower. The loans will be for up to 3 years with an initial 6-month repayment holiday. Okay, so similar to our existing finance arrangements and what I just showed you before with the Australian Banking Association, you're going to get a deferral on any money borrowed through this arrangement for 6 months also. And that applies also to principal and interest repayments. The loans will be in the form of unsecured finance, meaning that borrowers will not have to provide an asset as security for the loan. And just down here, loans will be subject to the lender's credit assessment processes with the expectation that lenders will look through the cycle to sensibly take into account the uncertainty of the economic conditions. As part of the loan products available, the government will encourage lenders to provide facilities to SMEs that only have to be drawn if needed by the SME. Okay, so this is important. This will mean the SME will only incur interest on the amount they draw down. They do not draw down any funds from the facility, no interest will be charged, but they will retain the flexibility to draw down in the future should they need to. Okay, so effectively it's not provided as a total drawdown loan, it's provided as an overdraft. Okay, so whatever you actually use, that's all you're going to actually get interest to be incurred upon. All right, and remembering you don't have to pay any repayments for the first 6 months. So the scheme will commence, as I said, early April 20. It's already commenced. I know a few people who've already looked into this, and be available for new loans made by participating lenders until the 30th of September 2020. Okay, so do we have any specific questions on either the Australian Banking Association package or the government package for new loans? Once again, you feel free just to unmute your microphone and ask me. Okay, no problems. So that brings me to the conclusion of today's webinar. As I've said before, any questions that you have in that chat box, we'll endeavour to reply to that now at the duration of this session. And if you have any other queries whatsoever, feel free to put them down into that chat box or to contact one of us here in the office personally, and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. So thank you for listening to this webinar and also our webinar yesterday. I hope they've been informative and that you now have a lot more information at hand to make some prudent decisions. Thank you.